woman calls softly from inside the house. Bread is ready. Fish has been prepared. Night is approaching. This is not a miracle. There is no crowd, no sermon, no healing. It is simply a meal prepared before darkness falls. When we speak about Jesus, we often imagine moments that changed history. Crowds gathered, words that shook authorities, acts that defied nature. But what about the rest of his life? What was Jesus doing on the days when nothing extraordinary happened? What did his life look like during the long years before anyone knew his name? For decades, he lived far from attention, far from recognition, far from the image we usually hold. He worked, he walked, he ate, he rested. Like any other man of Galilee, these ordinary days shaped the way he saw the world, the way he spoke to people, and the way he revealed truth. Stay until the end, because what you are about to discover is not just history. It has the power to reshape how we understand faith today. Galilee was not a center of power. It was a land of hills, fields, dust, and wind. Small villages stood between rocky paths and cultivated land. Homes were built of stone. Life followed the rhythm of nature. Cold mornings, hot afternoons, evenings that arrived quickly. Time was not measured by clocks, but by sunlight. This land shaped everyone who lived there, and it shaped Jesus. Here, survival depended on discipline. Work could not wait. Delay carried consequences. Faith was not separated from daily life. It was woven into it. Before the sun rose fully above the hills, Jesus was already awake. The stone walls of the house still held the night's cold. Silence filled the room, broken only by careful movement. A fire was rekindled. Tools were adjusted. The day began quietly. This early rising was not symbolic. It was necessary. Every hour of daylight mattered. Jesus learned early that time carried weight. What was not done in the morning became heavier later. There was no rush, but there was no waste. In those early hours, life formed habits. Responsibility, attentiveness, patience. Faith did not begin with words. It began with order. As the morning advanced and the sun climbed higher, the longest part of the day began. Jesus worked with his hands, not as a carpenter in the modern sense, but as a builder, someone who constructed, repaired, and shaped what others depended on. Wood, stone, clay, doors that needed to fit perfectly, beams that had to carry weight, structures that protected families. This work demanded strength, precision, and endurance. Mistakes were costly. A weak structure could destroy lives. Jesus learned that what is poorly built does not endure. Day after day, he repeated the same labor, without applause, without recognition. Yet every task mattered. While working, Jesus observed people. Some tried to save materials, others invested in strength. He saw the difference between what looks sufficient and what truly lasts. These were not abstract ideas. They were lessons learned through effort and exhaustion. Later, when he spoke about foundations, about houses that stand or fall, he spoke from experience. Truth was not imagined. It was lived. After long hours under the sun, the body needed nourishment. Meals were simple. Bread made fresh each day, often barley or wheat. No excess, no luxury. Food was prepared carefully, shared without waste. At the table, conversation flowed. Presence mattered more than abundance. These moments shaped connection. Community was built here. Faith was not loud. It was shared quietly. Between work and home, Jesus walked the paths of Galilee. He saw farmers, laborers, families, children. He listened more than he spoke. Pain, hope, waiting. He learned the language of everyday struggle. Later, when he spoke in parables, he used images everyone recognized. Seeds, fields, bread, fathers and sons. Nothing was accidental. As the sun lowered, work slowed, tools were set aside, bodies rested. The day ended without spectacle. Quiet conversations, shared silence. God was present, not in noise, but in rest. Most of Jesus' life passed unnoticed. No crowds, no fame. Decades of preparation without public reward. Great purpose was formed in silence. Nothing was wasted. The life of Jesus reminds us of something we often forget. Faith is not only found in dramatic moments, it is built in ordinary days. Work, routine, patience. If God could shape redemption through a quiet life in Galilee, then no ordinary day is meaningless. History does not always change in noise. Sometimes it is shaped in silence. The ordinary days that prepared the extraordinary. The hidden years of Jesus were not empty years. They were not a pause before something meaningful began. They were the foundation. Each ordinary day added a layer. Each routine action shaped perception. Each quiet moment refined understanding. Nothing in Galilee was rushed. Life unfolded at the pace of the land. Jesus learned patience not as an idea, but as a necessity. Seeds took time to grow. Structures took time to rise. People took time to change. There was no shortcut through waiting. In those years, he learned to accept limits. The limits of daylight, the limits of the body, the limits of human strength. And in those limits, he learned trust. Work did not always bring immediate reward. Effort did not always produce visible results. Yet responsibility remained. This was the world that shaped his understanding of faith. Not faith as escape, but faith as endurance. He saw how easily people lost hope when results delayed. He noticed how frustration grew when expectations were unmet. He observed how fear often came from uncertainty, not danger. These observations quietly shaped the words he would one day speak. When he later said, "Do not worry about tomorrow," he was not dismissing responsibility. He was speaking as someone who had lived day by day, dependent on provision that arrived gradually. In Galilee, tomorrow was never guaranteed. Rain could fail, work could disappear, health could fade, yet life continued. Jesus learned that anxiety did not add a single hour to the day. He saw how trust allowed people to endure scarcity without collapse. This understanding was born not in isolation, but in shared experience. He lived among people who labored constantly, whose hands bore the marks of survival. He knew their fatigue. He shared it. The strength in his later compassion came from familiarity, not distance. He did not observe suffering from above. He experienced the same constraints. That is why his presence later felt different. It was not authority imposed. It was understanding offered. In Galilee, power did not impress people. Reliability did. Those who showed up daily earned trust. Those who endured hardship earned respect. Jesus learned this rhythm early. He did not speak often in these years, but he listened. Listening became formation. He heard the quiet complaints of workers. He heard the resigned acceptance of loss. He heard the hope people whispered rather than declared. These voices stayed with him. They shaped the tone of his later message. He never spoke in abstractions. He spoke in images drawn from lived reality. Fields, wages, debts, meals, rest, everything familiar. This was not coincidence. It was preparation. The long years of anonymity did something else as well. They stripped away illusion. There was no applause to confuse purpose, no admiration to inflate identity. Jesus knew who he was long before anyone else did. Identity was not formed by recognition, but by faithfulness. This is why later rejection did not destabilize him. He had already lived unseen. He had already learned obedience without reward. In Galilee, greatness was invisible. That invisibility protected him. It anchored him. While others sought importance, he learned contentment. While others measured worth by outcome, he measured it by faithfulness. This inner stability allowed him to move freely later, to walk away from praise, to confront power without fear, to accept misunderstanding without bitterness. None of this appeared suddenly. It was the fruit of years spent in quiet consistency. Even rest held meaning. Evening was not an afterthought. When the sun lowered and work ended, there was acceptance. The day had given what it could. No more was demanded. Rest was not weakness. It was trust. Trust that tomorrow would come. Trust that strength would return. Jesus learned to stop when the day ended. This taught him balance. Later, when crowds demanded everything, he knew when to withdraw. He knew the value of solitude because he had practiced it. Long before it became necessary, the silence of Galilee trained him to hear God without noise. Faith did not require constant activity. It required attention. The hidden years remind us of something uncomfortable. Most of life is not dramatic. Most days do not feel significant, yet those days shape everything that follows. Jesus did not bypass this process. He embraced it. He did not hurry toward visibility. He allowed time to do its work. This patience challenges modern expectations. We often seek immediate impact, immediate recognition, immediate results. But Galilee teaches another way. Transformation is slow. Depth is gradual. Truth matures in obscurity. The message of these years is not about retreating from life, but about engaging it fully, even when it feels unnoticed. Jesus sanctified the ordinary. Work mattered. Meals mattered. Rest mattered. Listening mattered. Nothing was wasted. When his public life finally began, it did not replace these values. It revealed them. Every teaching carried echoes of Galilee. Every action reflected habits formed there. The extraordinary did not erase the ordinary. It fulfilled it. This is why understanding the daily life of Jesus changes how we view faith. Faith is not only found in moments of decision, it is practiced in routines. It is formed in responsibility. It grows in patience. The life of Jesus invites us to reconsider our own days, not as interruptions between meaningful moments, but as the place where meaning is formed. Because the kingdom he spoke of was not built on spectacle, it was built on faithfulness. And faithfulness is learned, one ordinary day at a time.